like I said before, folks, in our marketplace, there are more governmental restrictions on building multifamily units than in any other sectors. The things that we have to go through to fill that supply chain are more than most people ever bargain for. I mean, just think about it. If you're a town father in your local town and somebody wants to build an apartment building, what's the first thing you're going to think about? It's not like so much for the housing. Oh, we're taking care of these young families moving in. No, your first thought is going to be like, oh crap, who's going to pay for it? I mean, the burden on our schools, we're going to put more teachers on the thing. That's the way people look at real estate development. That's the way the government forefathers look at real estate development. It's a barrier to them. It's a cost to them. That's why we're seeing one of the barriers being, building new ones because of the cost from the town standpoint. Okay, now barriers reduce. It gets easier to build. The barriers to owning and operating multifamily property go down as the markets become less desirable, from primary markets out to secondary, out to tertiary. The tertiary markets want your money. They want you to come in. It's easier to fill the supply chain in those marketplaces because most of the time investment dollars don't flow there. They flow to primary markets. And that's why it's harder to get into those primary markets. And we've been talking about this for years now, that you got to start looking at those secondary and tertiary markets because it's less of a barrier to enter. Also, it's a barrier. One of the barriers to entry is qualifying for debt. We talked about this earlier. The qualifications, the underwriting guidelines, the reserves you have to put up now, the qualifications for being a key principal. These are things that never existed before, and now they're continuing to be a barrier to entry. That's why once we get in this business, you will hear me say it all the time, you're only going to need me for the first 2 deals. After that, the deals are going to be dropping in your lap. It's those first 2 deals, that tough barrier to entry that you have to get over. And part of it is everything that I'm talking about right here. And the other problem is sellers still think it's a seller's market, even after COVID-19. But though we are seeing a little chink in the armor, what we're seeing is that these sellers are seeing, hey, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. I better take my chips off the table and sell my property. And we're seeing some movement now from the sellers. But before that, sellers, hey, they thought the cap rates are just going to continue to compress and they're just going to keep making money. Well, that's why we all want to be on the ownership side. That's the right place to be. And then one thing I also have to keep in mind, and this is something that you see all these guys talking about, hey, we raised all this dough. Hey, we bought this property. Hey, we made all this money in the acquisition fee. Hey, we're moving on to the next one. With multifamily ownership, our investment strategy is over a period of years. You're going to have to get up and burp and feed that baby every single day for the next 7 years. So that's something that people forget about. It's amazing to talk to some of these syndication groups and they're already off to the next deal without making sure that this one asset that they've worked so hard to put together is going to run properly as they've told their investors.